Okay guys, should we start? Looks like we got a big class today. We're ready doing homework for this week. Okay, everybody close down their, or just create a clean version of their Scratch. Just unload whatever projects you're working on. Okay. Last time, if you want to go very quickly, who remembers what we did last time? Who was here last week? You all look new. I don't know any of you. Okay, so anybody want to give me one topic we covered last week without cheating? Clones. What was cloning?
You make more of the sprites.
Okay, and what was one of the things we said you must be careful about when doing cloning? Okay, so don't put the clone sprite script in itself or under the clone code because you'll end up with a multitude of clones. Okay, let's see what else we did. We used the stamp command. Remember, there's a difference between the stamp command and the clone command. What did the stamp command do?
The stamp makes it's almost like clones, but it's using the pen.
Okay, so basically drew a copy of the sprite on your stage, and that's the last time you could pretty much touch it, other than possibly changing the colors of it or anything else. Okay, and we created two games. One was the whack-a-mole, I think it was. Well, one was the finding the gold, and I can't remember what the other one was. It was whack-a-mole or something. That's right. I'm sorry. Okay, good. You guys remember better than I do. Okay. Did any of you guys manage to do the exercises? 5 and 9, did you? Did it help? Great, great. Anybody have a problem with the homework or exercises? Okay, if so, you will be getting the answers. They'll be available on the website this week. Okay, and just don't forget to go to our website over there if you want to get to the work from last week. Okay, today's goals. Some of you look like you're reading ahead. Okay, we're going to explore the costume command to create animations. Please close that down. Okay, we're going to look at the various look commands to change size, color, and effects. And we're going to create a nice demo sequence using these effects. Okay, everybody with me up to there? Okay, so we're going to do that through today's agenda. We're going to animate a little stick man. We're going to program a traffic light, or robot as we call them in this country. We're going to be responding to user interaction. So when you click on a sprite, you can get the sprite to do things, change his costume, that type of thing. We're going to create a conversation between sprites, just so you can see a very simple example of how to use the say and think commands. And then at the end, we're going to be creating a fireworks display. Hands up those who already opened the fireworks project. Yay. And if we have time, we will look at layering. Okay, that's if we have time in editor. Otherwise, we'll carry that over to next week. Okay. Animating a stick man. You can quickly open up animations under the session 5 and session 6 folder. Okay, don't run it. Yes, it is. You can plug it in. Okay, don't run it. I first want you, okay, run it. I want you to go look at the costumes of the sprite. Sorry. Lost you. Okay, I just want to check something quickly. Okay, fine. Just borrow your neighbor's flash drive quickly. Dieter. Okay, if you go and look at the costumes tab, just cancel, that's fine. Okay, look at the costumes tab, which is the second tab next to the scripts tab. Over here. There you go. You'll basically, what we have here is a single sprite with many different costumes. Okay, so all that's effectively happening, if you look at the script again, is all we're doing is we're using the change costume or next costume command to change it as it goes through. So what is this from the code? What can you tell me it's basically doing? Anyone give a hint? You can look at the code on your screen. Okay. Okay, so basically it's moving 10 steps. Now those aren't 10 steps, obviously, as in make the man move 10 steps. It's basically move in whichever direction he was traveling by 10 pixels or 10 points, change to my next costume, and on the edge turn around and walk back and wait 0.1 seconds. If you obviously want to slow him down, you can increase the time. If you want to see him move faster than light, make it 0, and you probably won't see much of anything. Okay, so does everybody see how we can use a costume to create an animation? Okay, any questions? Okay. So if you really want to, you can go and use the paint effect to obviously change some of these costumes or create new ones. Sorry, the paint tool to actually lift his hands above his head as he's walking, go wild and do what you want with this animation sequence. Okay. So any questions on this one? Okay. Okay, now demonstrate how traffic light works. Open up the traffic lights project. And first of all, without running it, you can run it, you'll find it'll do nothing. Okay, it's called traffic lights. Okay, if you run it, what does it do? What should it do, and what does it do? Okay, but should it go to... It's called? Have you found it? Okay, open. Don't save. See, this popped up, so it stops you from getting to it. There you go. Okay, on your flash drive. There you go. Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a debugging session. Everybody can push on the flag, and everybody's going to get exactly what they didn't expect to get, which is a traffic light that allows you to drive forever. It never changes off of green. Okay, it's great if you're in that direction, terrible if you're sitting at the other side of the intersection and going nowhere. Who can tell me what's wrong with this code? There's two obvious mistakes with the code. What's wrong?
You're not waiting long enough before you switch.
Okay, well, basically there is no wait. Oopsie, sorry. There is no wait anywhere in this routine. So basically the code is running so fast that it's getting stuck visually on the bottom one. Okay, so there's two things you need to do here. One is put in some timing, and I want your timing to be pretty close to what a real traffic light does. No, but just like your orange light doesn't last as long as your green and your red lights. The other thing is that the right sequence? Who's got their driver's license here? I'm sure some of you already have your driver's licenses. Excellent. Okay. What is the normal sequence for lights at a traffic light?
Well, green and then orange and then red.
Correct. Okay. We don't go red, orange, green in this country. If you come from the UK, you'll notice that this sequence goes up and down. So in the UK, it goes red, orange, green, orange, red. Okay, so people can get their car in first gear and get going at a green light. So just change your costumes, if you're changing the drop downs or dragging your switches around. Okay, and put in wait commands so that it gives you more of a realistic effect. Okay, so in the real world situation, what you've done now is debugged somebody else's code. If you ever go into programming, you will spend a good percentage of your time doing this. Okay, because nobody can write code as good as you. There you go. Okay. Everybody done with it? Everybody happy? If you want to save it, you can save it to your thumb drive. It's plugged in. Okay, let's move it along. Now we're going to change the costume to respond to user interaction. Go look for the, oopsie, sorry. There's a click on face project file.
Something.
Okay, so basically, this example is a very simple example of showing you that you can, once you click on a sprite, change his costume to express something. So, you know, you could do it if you click, he becomes angry because you're annoying him and poking him, or anything else. What he's doing at the same time is he's changing the background. So you can both change a costume or a background, whatever you want to do, whenever you click on the sprite. The other thing it's doing is, you'll see the second little block of code there is when one of the random backgrounds happens to be stage 4, it moves your sprite all over the place. Okay, so it's very random. So it's basically just a simple example of showing you how you can react to user interactions by clicking on things. So by doing this, you could create whatever animation sequence you want and tell somebody click here or click there, and you can do different things based on that. That's very good. So you could do an exploratory program. You could do a science experiment where, click on a little test tube, and when you click on it, that fills up with some liquid, and you click it again, and it explodes. Which is, you can't do that in a real lab because they moan and complain about the damage, but you can do it on a computer and nobody's going to complain. Okay. Everybody managed to play with this one? Okay, you all understand the code, and it's simple as to change your sprite. What's the time look like? Okay, speaking and thinking. Okay, it's not an example, it's just a bit of a comment quickly. If you want to do a little animation sequence where you want your little sprites to talk to each other, you basically can use the say or think. Okay, so those of you who read cartoon or comics, who reads comics here still? Sorry, girls, put down your hand. Girls are not allowed to read comics, only boys. Okay, so obviously we know the difference between speak and think. So speak has the little solid bubble, think has the little bubbles. So everybody recognize those two. Okay, now there's an additional one which you can say something for a period of time. If you use the second one, it'll open the speech bubble for the period of time and then make it disappear. If you just use the say or think ones, they will stay there forever unless you go and say nothing. Okay, so you'll see in the example that if you want to clear the speech bubble, just basically say and have nothing in there, and that'll make it go away. Okay. Otherwise, it will stay there, and people might just think the poor character's a bit dim because he keeps saying the same thing. Okay. So you can start off with this one, argue, if you want to open it up. And if you want to, you can go and add a couple of more comments or thoughts about it. Okay, I'll run some original arguments here, people. I'm sure you guys all have good arguments when it comes to why you didn't do your homework. So I'm sure you can have imagination as to quick comebacks as to who is actually the cutest. Okay, has everybody finished playing with their happy conversation? I'm sure there was great love amongst all the characters. So who changed it to, yes, you are the cuter one, and meant it? Ah, such love, such love. Okay. So that's basically how you can hold little animation sequences if you wanted to put a little movie script or a little play together using Scratch. Okay, graphics effects. Okay, so here you can just open up a new project. So just open a clean project. Okay, so under the looks, you'll see a set color is the default, effect 2. Okay. Now obviously we remember that little block with a drop down little triangle there means it has other options within it. So by changing it, you can access all these different graphic effects. So here we give an example of what each one can do. So you can go and play a bit. But you can see how by setting the color effect to something else, you will change your sprite's color. So if you want to, you can put that in a bit of a loop with a delay, and you can make a little rainbow sequence or whatever you want to your cat. The fisheye, anybody know what a fisheye is? Yes, but what is a fisheye? Do anybody use a fisheye lens? Anybody heard of a fisheye lens? Okay, it's often used in cameras to give you a wider viewpoint than you're seeing. Normally like looking through a peephole in a door. That uses a fisheye lens to allow you to see around corners, roughly speaking. Okay. So go and try and just play around with each of the effects. And you can see what each one does. Okay. There is a clear effect command as well. So if you want to go back to how he starts, just put clear effect just before the set effect to get him back to his default so that you can see what each one does individually. Now remember that the effect happens at the center of the sprite. Okay, so if you want to do a weird swirl off the side or the corner of the sprite, you need to move his center off. And then like his fisheye will then make his bottom larger and keep his head normal. Okay, so now that we've all played with that, we're going to put that together with the size command just now, just to do a little demo program. Okay, I want to see here. There's two ways you can change the size. Okay, one is as we've learned, by relative size. Okay, so change by 10 or minus 10. The other way is by percentage. Okay, so for you higher grade students, what does a percentage mean? Yes.
It's basically a fraction of whatever you work with.
Okay. A percentage is a part of the value of 1. Okay. Okay, so 100% means 1. Okay, in normal maths terms. So if I say something is 50%, that's 50 parts of 100, which means, roughly speaking, come guys, what's your fractions? What's 50%? Half. Half, okay. And what's 150%? I'm sure you all get that for maths. Great, okay. So just remember, people, the nice thing about percentage, when you go to university, you can get more than 100% for a paper. You just really have to suck up to the demis and you get more than 100%. Okay, they actually mark you on initiative. You get extra points. Okay, so look forward to varsity, people. You can score more than 100%. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the change sizes, set size. Okay, and we have the show and hide commands. Okay, basically, if you want to hide your sprite in the middle of a sequence, just use the hide, and you can bring him back using the show command. Okay, so using what we've just done, here's a little code as a size example that makes him sneeze. Okay, so you can either copy it off the board, or if you're really intuitive, you can go and find it in your samples. Okay. 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 Now there's something I don't like about this example. Oops, this example in particular. Does anybody notice there's a subtle difference between the R and the chew? Okay, I'm not too worried about the program. I want to know visually what's the difference. Okay, but that's not the difference. There's a very specific difference between the two. And you can only see it when you watch it. Can anybody see the difference? Yes, the first one flashes and the second one doesn't. Okay, so that's a bit of an unpleasant experience for people observing it. So using the second half of the code as an example, fix the top half so it doesn't flicker. Okay, so this is where the convenience of saying something for a certain amount of time is convenient unless you have it in a loop. Okay, and if you have it in a loop, then it lands up flickering and looking annoying. Okay, so there is reasons why you would want to use one over the other command at different times. So once you've fixed that code, make him disappear when he's done. And if you want to, you can make him swirl like a magician and then disappear. So using the graphics effects we've just played with, and fix the routine up, when he's finished sneezing, make him disappear with a bit of a funky effect. Yeah, remember a blank say makes the bubble go away. Speech bubble. Okay, let's move it along. Okay, we're going to be moving along to bring on the fireworks. Okay, so open up the firework no code project. The firework no code project. Okay. Everybody open up the project. This project basically makes use of everything you just learned to make a little fireworks display. Okay. So if you open the project, you'll see it's basically once again, one sprite, although I'm not talking about the city, I'm talking about the little red dot, which is called a rocket. If you click on him and you open his costumes tab, and the costumes tab at the top, you'll basically see it's a whole lot of static firework pictures. So from my coding experience, if I looked at this, I'll think, well, this is not very impressive. What can this look like when we're done? But I was actually surprised with the results. Okay, has everybody had seen that there's just a lot of costumes? Okay, so let's set the timing charges. Okay. Yeah, under the rocket. So make sure you're on the rocket sprite. Add the following code. Can anybody tell me quickly what this code should do? Yes.
It should launch a rocket
Okay, so he's not really launching yet. All he's creating is a clone of himself. Okay. And waiting a random amount of time, he's creating another clone of himself. So he's basically allowing us to randomize, and some of us have opened up the full project. Okay, so all we've done here is set a random starting point to launch our fireworks. You're looking for that. Pick a random number, number 4. There we go. Now remember what we said about cloning? Make sure that your cloning happens underneath the click event of the flag and not in the clone code. Otherwise you might discover if you want to play later that you're going to have a fireworks disaster. So everybody there? Okay, running this code will be very unimpressively doing nothing. Okay, now that we've got our timers set, now let's try and launch the rockets. Okay, who can tell me what this is doing? You want to give me a quick yes? What's it doing?
The sprite is going to be flying around the stage and it's going to be switching costumes to look like the fireworks are exploding.
Okay, so the first one is doing is making sure that I'm set to the C1 costume, which is the little green or little red dots. So I am going to be the rocket sprite, or the little, looks like a rocket. Then I'm going to set my launch position at the bottom of the screen to somewhere randomly along the bottom, but always at the same ground level. Okay, and then I'm going to show myself. Okay, nothing really will happen right now because he's just sitting around the bottom. Here's just the bottom, off the bottom. There you go, right at the bottom of the screen. You'll see a whole lot of red dots popping up. No, then you got something wrong. Maybe your Y number is a bit wrong. Confirm your Y number is minus 200 and not 200. Okay, what can people tell me about the Y value of minus 200? How big is the screen? How big is your stage from top to bottom?
180.
Yeah. I think it's 180.
240, 180.
Yeah. So if it's set to minus 200, where's he going to be? He's going to be off the back of the stage, or you'll see his little head popping up right at the bottom. Yep. You'll probably stop it if you got that problem. So everybody got to this point? So the next thing to do is make him fly.
Must that connect to the bottom?
Yep. Now this is all under your clone code, okay? So just keep building on the clone code, not on the when I click my flag code. Okay. So as you can see from this code, what we're basically doing is making him fly into the sky to a random X position and a less random Y position. We'll be playing a drum to give him a dup sound as he explodes. And we're setting his size to 20% or 1/5 of his original size. For those who prefer fractions over percentages. Okay, so if you get this far and you start the program up, you will discover you have this disappointing number of dud rockets. Okay, has everybody done this part? Okay, everybody's got that far. You should all have a whole lot of duds flying into our sky. There we go. Okay. Now let's make them explode. Just keep building on the bottom of your code. Okay, so under the clone code, just keep building it. So this goes underneath that. Okay, so basically what we're doing here is we're choosing one of those little fireworks costumes, and we are slowly growing him over 20 iterations or repeats of a very short time, so he looks like he's getting bigger. Okay, and if you don't remember to delete our clone, it's the eternal fireworks display. So as you can see, with some very simple graphics and not a very long bit of code, you can demonstrate a bit of a fireworks display. Okay, and that's kind of what you ended up with a bit more of an animation sequence. Okay guys, we've got about 15 minutes. I'm just going to cover layering with you quickly. Okay, when you have multiple sprites on the screen, you often get the issue where you'll have one behind the other and vice versa. So you can actually control this by using the go to front or go back 1, 2, 3 layers. Okay, so if you want to bring one of your sprites to the foreground so that he's not being hidden by something like a rock, which can be another sprite. So you'll see in your fireworks display, your city was a sprite, your city skyline. So if you change that to bring to the foreground, you'll find your fireworks will only technically come out from behind the buildings. If you want to try that quickly. So if you set your firework rocket to go back 1 layer, it'll now come out from behind the buildings and not in front of the buildings anymore. Okay, do you see how now it looks like they're shooting it from behind the city skyline? Okay, so you can use layering to change it quite subtly but quite effectively. Okay, so if you now go and open up the layers, there's a layers project file if you want to open that one up. Okay, layers, Layers. And if you want to run that, if you look at the code, so what we have here is 4 little sprites, one in front of the other. And if you press the color of the sprite on the keyboard, so Y for yellow, the circle is shockingly orange. It looks weird, I don't know, beige to me. And if you hit the space bar, it'll be more effective. You can then see by pressing the colors how you can change the layers at different times. So press B for blue will bring the blue box to the front, P for pink, and so forth. Okay, so you do have control over which sprite is in the foreground or moving them back through to different layers. So that's it for this week. Okay, if we look at home, oh, what a relief, people don't listen to my voice anymore. Okay, if we look at the homework, yeah, everybody's shouting with joy. Okay, the problems. If you can look at problems 1, 3, and 4 for homework. Okay, we will be sending a reminder out to your folks that it's on Thursday, not Friday. We felt sorry for you guys and want to drag you back here on your last day of school. Okay.
We have on Friday.
No, Thursday. Okay, so Thursday is your last full day of school, so we'll do it that evening, and then Fridays. Okay, and next lesson, for those who are going to be here, we'll be looking at sound. Okay, so playing with sound, palette objects, so playing audio files, playing sounds, composing music. Who does music here? Cool, cool, cool. Great, great thing to do. Carry it into your adulthood. And setting the tempo of your music. Okay, that's it. Yes, you can shut down if you feel like shutting down.